everybody, it's your girl Diana and welcome back to another video. This video is part 2 of my Breaking Free series where I talk about breaking free from my emotional and narcissistic and emotionally abusive household, both mentally and one day physically. Before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on anything I post. And if you would like to sow a seed into this ministry of mine, you may do so on my Cash App. I will have it linked in the description below so that you can do that. Or I will probably have it somewhere on the screen. I don't know. I haven't decided it yet. We'll figure that out later. But without further ado, let's get into it. So I brought Miss Tweety Peach here. This is my stuffed animal. This is my anxiety support stuffed animal. I bought her when I was 17 as a birthday gift to myself because I wanted a new plushie. And yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say about Tweety Peach. So the first thing that I'm going to be talking about in this video is how the Lord has been reparenting me this whole entire time. I told my mom and my sister on October 30th of this year that I have plans on moving out soon and that I would be going no contact with them. And that was a very hard thing. I'll admit, that was a very hard thing to do, especially as somebody who already has not the best relationship with one parent. My father, I have not had a great relationship with my father since I was 8 years old. I did recently forgive him for all of the things that he has done, but there is no reconciliation between us. And that's just, there's forgiveness, but there's no reconciliation. And that is what it is for now. I don't know if the Lord will have us reconcile in the future. I don't believe he will, considering everything. And I feel a similar way with my mother. And something that the Lord has been highlighting to me, especially during this time, is the fact that I now have to go through life with basically no earthly parental guidance. And as somebody who was basically left to fend for themselves with one parent, with my father, and coddled throughout a lot of life with my mother, going without no earthly parental guidance of your own, even though I'm still in the house of my mother, it's a very difficult thing. It's a very heartbreaking thing. It's very freeing and also very frightening, because every child just wants a parent, you know? Every child just wants a parent. Every child wants to know that they have parents that will care for them, and that they have parents that will also teach them life lessons and how to be self-sufficient and how to truly know who they are. Because I talked about in part 1 of this series about how I basically needed a whole new, I basically feel like I don't know who I am anymore, because I spent so much of my life basically lying, not necessarily lying, but not being my full, complete self. And it's now that I have no earthly parental guidance, I'm now figuring out who I am. And that's not even just because of the Lord, that's also because I'm also 20 and I don't really know myself. So there's that aspect of it. Oh, okay. But basically what this is the fact of, I find it very hard to go through life now because there are certain things that I want to ask my dad and my mom, or ask them both. And then I come to the realization of like, yeah, you can't ask them those questions. And it hurts. I'll admit, it hurts. It really does hurt. Because it's like, especially with like being in public and like seeing all these like adult children and like even like little kids with their moms and their dads, and seeing how they just bond so easily, and it's like, I don't have that anymore, or I didn't really have that to begin with. That's a very tough thing to fully process. It's a very tough thing to process. It's a very tough thing to navigate. And it's a very tough thing to accept, more so, is the fact that you are doing something that you've never done before, and there's no physical person on earth, for the most part, that is older or wiser than you that can truly help you. That's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. The second thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is grief, since that is, for a large portion of what reparenting is when you are in Christ, is there's a lot of grief. There is a lot of grieving. And as someone who already struggles a lot with, change, I find grieving to be both the easiest and the hardest thing to do. And when I say I find grieving as both the easiest and the hardest thing to do, I mean in the sense of, I find it easier to grieve people when I have no attachment to them in the same way that a lot of people do. And when I say that, I mean it in the sense of, say a relative that is in my family passed away, and I spent time with them, but I didn't have any like real deep emotional connection, or like specific memories that would warrant me out here crying every single day thinking about it. I find it easier to grieve when it's like that versus somebody who I was basically around my entire life with. And it's especially hard to grieve a person who is not dead. That is truly the hardest type of grief, is grieving someone who is not dead. And I did it with my father. Starting around like 2020, whenever my parents got divorced. Well, actually earlier than that, around 2018. Really, like 2018, when I was like 13 years old. That's when I really started grieving my dad, because I knew that they were going to get divorced soon. I knew that my parents were getting divorced soon, and so I had to grieve him being essentially gone. And now I'm doing that whole process again with my mother, and it's even harder to do it because I'm in her house. And grieving somebody who isn't dead in the ground is a lot harder, because it's not like you're grieving them because of them being such like this amazing person, or them leaving such a legacy that you aspire to live up to, or aspire to let live on, but instead you're grieving the person that you wish that they were for you. And that is even harder to do, because as much as you love them, you can't ignore the pain that they've caused you. You can't ignore how hurt you are. Like, yeah, you can cry. You can try to, even in a way, try and say like, oh no, it's nothing. It's just me. But it's like, grieving a person, especially grieving two narcissists like my parents, grieving is not just grieving for your adult self that now has no parental guidance. You're grieving your childhood self who just wanted to be loved. You're grieving for your teenage self who just wanted to have cool parents. You're grieving your future self who is probably going to have children of her own, and wondering how life will work. It's this whole process of where you take step by step. It's like a building block. It's like building blocks, where it's like you're building a block tower. And it's like, okay, the foundation is the Lord. Obviously, the foundation is the Lord. And now it's like, okay, how do we build the tower? And each day is a new block added to the tower. A very difficult block to add to the tower, but a block to add to the tower nonetheless. And it is the most rejuvenating and the most rejection-filled journey ever, because you have to reprogram yourself to not view yourself as unworthy of love because of how you allowed yourself to be mistreated without knowing. You have to reprogram yourself to not view all adults as just menacing people. You have to reprogram yourself to not have this belief system where you are scared of being a parent or scared of screwing up because you know what it's like to have people around you, your own parents, the two people that literally brought you into this world, that the Lord allowed as vessels to bring you in this world, watching how they failed and being the product of their failure to protect you. Although their failure is not your fault, your healing from that failure is your responsibility. And it's tough. It's really tough. Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
What the dog doing?